Hello, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me here today on Narcissism 101, Cracking the Code with me, Paul Wisdom. Okay, so before we get into what we are going to talk about today, if you want a one-on-one session, you can email me at paul.wisdom_03@hotmail.com, or you can send me a text message at 647-406-3057. If you want to talk, if you want to vent, if you want advice, I'd be more than happy to give you the advice that you need for your situation. If you want to call, just send a text to that number and just let me know that you want to talk about your narcissistic experience. Let me know your name, and then I'd be more than happy to get you the help that you need amongst the other people I've been helping recently. So, what we are going to talk about today is why it would never be enough. Yes, we're going to talk about that today. I'm going to give you my take on why it would never be enough. And I'm talking about the narcissist when it comes down to narcissistic experience, your relationship, marriage, whatever you want to call it. I call it experience just because, again, and I talked about it in one of my other videos. And if you're new to this channel, thank you so much for being here. I called it experience because no matter which way you cut it, whether you're in the relationship with one, you married the narcissist, or whether it was your parent, it was your sibling, whether it was somebody at work, it's an experience, okay? It's not just relationship is true, yes, but it's an experience that people go through because it's something that you go through, and everybody's different ideas of it are different because they all have different experiences, right? So that's why I refer to it as the narcissistic experience. And so what I'm going to discuss here is why it would never be enough for the narcissist. So if you've been watching my videos for quite some time, one thing you know, and one thing I say in almost all my videos is narcissists thrive off of chaos, confusion, and control. Now, you have to understand something. With narcissists, they live for the moment. They only care about what people can provide for them today, right now, like right in the now, right? And if those people are not providing the narcissist what the narcissist wants right now, then those people get kicked to the curb, and the narcissist looks for their replacement. Now, don't get me wrong, all throughout that person's experience with the narcissist was always looking for their replacement. But what I'm saying is that narcissists, they have a way of upping it up, bringing it up, right? Like going up, like doing it more is what I'm trying to say, right? Like I said, right? When it comes down to, for example, the narcissistic playbook, and I made a video on that. And if you're new to my channel, please go watch that video. The narcissistic playbook, it's love bomb, it goes devaluation, and then it goes discard. What I talked about in one of my recent videos, though, is that in the love bomb stage, yes, that's the stage where everything seems too good to be true, where everything seems amazing. The narcissist is telling you how much they love you, and you guys are spending a lot of time together, more time than you've ever spent with anyone in your life. And you're wondering to yourself, where has this person been all my life, or how come I didn't meet this person sooner? You know what I mean? And you're thinking all these thoughts because this is what the narcissist does, and this is what they want you to think, and they know that you are going to think this way because narcissists, you have to keep in mind, narcissists in their mind, they know exactly what they're doing, right? And so when they're doing these things to people, during the love bomb stage, they know that on a dime that can switch up, that they can switch up to somebody totally different. And that happens a lot during the love bomb stage where they tell you that they love you, and then the next moment they're distancing themselves from you, like they don't want to spend time with you, or they're doing this thing, you want to spend time, you want to spend more time with them, but then they don't want to spend a lot of time with you. And that is because they're doing the playbook. The playbook starts, it starts in the love bomb stage. It happens all throughout the time that the narcissist is with you. So in the love bomb stage, they're then devaluing you, and then sometimes they don't talk to you maybe for weeks, or maybe they say that they give you one word answers like I'm busy, or I'm at work, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. They make excuses for not wanting to see you, right? And they do this in the love bomb stage, right? A lot. And so then when the devaluation stage comes, then they up it more. They keep doing it more. And they know that now in the devaluation stage, they want to see how much more you can tolerate. If you are going to, and you have to understand something. With narcissists, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So if you were to be around to tolerate their abuse for, let's say, 20, 30 years, they're still going to discard you for someone else, because narcissists are always, the thing with narcissists is that they get bored very, very easily, right? They're always looking for something new, right? They don't look at you as a human being, as a person, right? They look at you as a source of supply. What is supply for those who are new to my channel? Supply is anything that can give the narcissist energy, anything that the narcissist can get their hands on for free, right? And so you, the person watching my video, you are supply to the narcissist, right? The narcissist just sees you as something they can use for a period of time, because you have to understand that narcissists are only available for the moment, right? So that moment could be for a week, for a minute, it could be for an hour, it could be for a month, it could be for a year, it could be for 20 years, it could be for maybe 10 years, some decades. It could be however long the narcissist decides. It all depends on what is going on in the narcissist's mind, right? But just know that when that relationship with the narcissist ends, it ends when it is supposed to end, right? You may be jealous and upset about the new supply that the narcissist gets involved in. Now, when we're talking about supply, again, we're talking about energy, anything that gives the narcissist energy, right? But when we're talking about the new supply, what we're talking about is the person that the narcissist is going to replace you with, right? That could be if it's your parent, if it's your parent that's a narcissist, it could be that they stop talking to you and then they start giving your other siblings attention, right? If it's at work and it's your boss, it could be your boss and they fire you and then they replace you with the next person who isn't even as good as you, or maybe the boss thinks they're better than you. Who knows, right? It could be your friend whom you've known for 20 years and then they, out of nowhere, they just say, I want nothing more to do with you. And all you've been is such a good friend to them. You've been there for them. And out of nowhere, they just stop talking to you. And then next thing you know, they have a new friend. And that friend, is around for only a period of time. So see, it's a cycle. It's a cycle, right? It goes around and around. It's a cycle that the narcissist does with everybody, right? And many people think that when they're with the narcissist, that it's only them and the narcissist. So let's say that you were married to the narcissist. If you're the husband or the wife, and your wife is a narcissist or your husband's a narcissist, you may have thought that you were the only person who was involved with the narcissist, but unfortunately it doesn't work that way. The narcissist has many people in the cycle of abuse at the same time, right? So for example, if you were married to the narcissist and your wife was, let's say, the narcissist, there were many guys that narcissist that your wife was talking to. I can assure you that right now, that there were many guys that she was talking to. And it may not have just been guys, because you have to keep in mind also, many narcissists are also bisexual and are gay if they're men, but seeing as we're talking about women, many times if she was married to you, you weren't the only person that she was involved with. She was involved with many other people. But the truth is, you just didn't know about that. And you weren't supposed to figure it out. You weren't supposed to figure out that she was dealing with someone else. That's why anytime you were trying to get the truth out of, let's say, your wife who was a narcissist, that's why many times she would give you the silent treatment, or many times she would say something like this, like, why would you ask me that? What, you don't trust me? Something like that. And then after that, now you're apologizing because you're saying, I'm sorry for thinking that. I never should have thought that. Because now what you have to keep in mind, narcissists thrive off of chaos, confusion, and control. And the last one there on that list is control, right? Narcissist's end game is control. That's why nothing you ever did was good enough for the narcissist, right? Because narcissists are always wanting new. That's why it's called new supply for a reason. New, right? The first word is new, right? They always look for something new, right? Because they also think that, they also know that every relationship that they become a part of, it's going to end one way or another, right? Whether it ends in 40 years or 50 years, it's going to end one way or another, right? And what I will say also is that with regards to the narcissistic experience, like relationship and all that, just trust and believe that that person that the narcissist left you for, it's not necessarily a person who's better looking than you. It's not necessarily a person who has more money than you or has more clout than you do. It has nothing to do with any of that. Narcissists discard you for a person who doesn't know anything about narcissism. They discard you for a person who doesn't have boundaries, who doesn't respect themselves, right? Because you have to understand too, though, that although the narcissist discarded you for that person is also going to get discarded at one point as well, because everything with the narcissist is temporary, right? And many times you have to understand too that not everything is as it seems. Not everybody is who they claim to be, right? And so just because the narcissist left you for that person and it seems as though by status, let's say on Facebook, it says that they're married or they're engaged or whatever, that doesn't mean necessarily that they're engaged or they're married. Maybe the narcissist is just doing that to punish you because they know that you will be watching their status once they discard you. Or maybe they do that because they want to make it seem to the outside world that everything is amazing. Because keep in mind, that's what the narcissist did with you as well. They did the same thing. And if they didn't, that means that with the new supply that they're trying to punish you, because they want to punish you because you are such a good person, because you are the opposite of them. And they want your goodness, right? Because your light shines light on their darkness. It exposes their darkness for what it is, right? And so when it comes down to it, you have to understand that that's why nothing is ever good enough for the narcissist. Right? Nothing is ever good enough in the relationship because the narcissist, they're empty. They don't have a soul like you do, right? They have a disorder of their mind, right? That's why, and I say this in a lot of my videos, guys, and take note of this. That's why I don't suggest that if you're dealing with somebody who's demon possessed or a narcissist, do not send them to somebody who casts demons out of people. Do not do it. It is the biggest waste of time. Why is it a waste of time? It is because when you send that person to get the demons out of them, to a person who casts demons out, when you do that, guys, if you decide to go and do that, you have to understand that narcissists, they have a disorder. It's not just the fact that they're demon possessed. They have a disorder in their mind. Right? And so though you might cast out the demons out of them, but you're not getting rid of the disorder that is in their mind, the empathy part of their mind that doesn't function the way that a normal human being functions. And I want to talk about something else here as well. Why it would never be good enough for the narcissist? You have to understand too that there's a difference between a narcissist and somebody who's a toxic person. And I want to cover that for the sake of this video. And I talked about it in some of my other videos, but I'm going to talk about it for those who are new to the channel, and you can go back and watch it in some of my other videos. The difference between somebody who's a narcissist and someone who is toxic is that narcissistic people who are narcissistic, who have narcissistic personality disorder, they lack the ability to feel. They lack the ability to empathize. They lack the ability to be understanding. They lack the ability to be able to care about somebody else's feelings, right? That's the difference between, and then with a toxic person, somebody who just toxic and has challenges and things like that, the difference between with those people is that toxic people, they may be mean. They may the difference with toxic people is that with toxic people they can empathize to a point, right? Until they can't empathize anymore, right? They can empathize with you and they can potentially get help. Some toxic people, like people who have borderline personality disorder or they're just toxic people, they can potentially get help. And they can potentially get saved. You know what I mean? But narcissistic people can't. They can't because they have a disorder of their brain. Toxic people, some of them don't have a disorder of their brain. Some of them, they just have, it just runs in their family that they're just mean or that they just have challenges, right? But doesn't necessarily mean that they're narcissistic. Not all narcissists are toxic people, but all toxic people sorry, not all toxic people are narcissistic, but all narcissistic people are toxic, right? So what I'm saying here is that it would never be good enough for the narcissist, no matter how you spin it. Even if you had, let's say, millions of dollars, let's say you won the lottery, let's say that you were an amazing wife, an amazing husband, you did everything for them, right? And let's say that you cared about them, when nobody else was there for them, right? You have to understand that narcissists, they don't care about that stuff. They only care about what people do for them for the moment. So know that anything you did for the narcissist, that's why we say, once you find out that the narcissist that the person you're dealing with is a narcissist, you need to go no contact. You need to get away from them as fast and as far away from them as you can. Because you have to understand that narcissists do not change. And they can't change because of what I just said. The fact that they have a disorder in their mind. The disorder in their mind cannot change. It doesn't change them. It gets worse and worse and worse over time. And at some point, they become the aging narcissist, right? And the aging narcissist, because they're aging, and because, as you age, you forget. As you age, your looks start to dwindle and become worse, right? Depending on who you are as a person. But if it's a narcissist, everything gets worse, right? So that's why nothing is ever good enough for the narcissist. It will never be good enough, right? Because narcissists, they only think about the moment, just for the moment, just for right now. What are you going to do for me right now? And if you don't do what they want right now, then that's when it ends. That's when they will look to discard you, right? And you have to understand too, some victims that are involved with narcissists, when you're in the relationship with a narcissist, let's say that you get close to catching on to them. Let's say that, you start calling them out and say, something is off. Every time I'm there for you, you're not there for me. I'm just making an example. You explain to them, right? You man explain, or woman explain, whatever you want to call it, explain. You explain to them. You start explaining to them why you feel so hurt, why you feel this way and that way, or you start putting up boundaries and saying, I'm not going to tolerate this level of disrespect. I'm not going to let you disrespect me or talk to me this way, right? And then the narcissist, they start thinking in their minds, oh my gosh, this person is catching on to me. They're about to figure me out. What do I do now? Oh, right. Oh, that's right. I'm gonna go go on my phone, and I'm gonna look for their replacement. And once I'm sure that I have their replacement, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna discard them. I'm gonna let the moving people know I want the truck there, and I start moving stuff out the house the next day. And then now, when the moving truck is there, you're scratching your head saying, "What the hell? All I did was put up a boundary, and I said I won't tolerate disrespect. And now all of a sudden they're leaving me?" Well, the truth is that they were never with you from the get-go. That's why I said that. That's why I also made, if you're new to my channel, go watch my video on the fact that, it was over before it started, because the narcissist was never with you from the get-go. You may have thought they were, but they were never with you, right? And so that's why it would never be good enough, because nothing is ever good enough for the narcissist. Not the new supply, not their parents, not their siblings, not their job. Their job is not even good enough. If they're making, let's say, 6 figures a year, or let's just say they're making lots of money, that job, they will leave that job eventually. Even though they were doing a good job and their employer even told them, you're doing a good job, the narcissist, like I said, they are only there for the moment. Everything with the narcissist is temporary. So even if they're with the new supply or with the person for 30-something years, don't be so quick to think that that's true. For all you know, that they could very well have, be living under the same roof, and the narcissist is having affairs behind that person's back, for 30 years, and that person doesn't even know it. It happens every day. Every day, narcissists are doing this. Because you have to understand, narcissists always have to be on the go. They have to be on the go, and they have to always be doing stuff, because it's a mechanism for them to escape, to run away from the truth, number one, and to also run away from the fact that they've cheated on so many people, that they've lied to so many people, that they've manipulated so many people. So they need something to keep them busy. because if they don't keep busy, then then it's going to hurt them too much, right? It's going to do too much damage to them, right? It could potentially kill them, knowing that they have to introspect and be accountable, right? Accountability is a narcissist kryptonite. I made a video on accountability. It's called Accountability. You should go watch it if you're new to my channel. So just know that no matter how you spin it, it would never be good enough. None of it. No amount of money, no amount of care, no amount of sex, no amount of love, no amount of taking them out, no amount of being the funniest person to them, no amount of being attractive or unattractive, no amount of that would be enough for the narcissist. Nothing is ever enough. That's what you guys need to understand. It will never be good enough. They will always try to find fault in everything that you do. They will always try to find fault in everything that, in every way possible, because narcissists, again, they're only for the moment, right? So they can easily just get up and just walk out if it serves them, right? It depends on if it benefits them. And the reason why they stick around, they make it seem as though they're sticking around with people with supplies for so long, or maybe they are with that supply for longer, is because that supply has a supply that you don't offer the narcissist. Whether it's money, whether it's a place to stay, it could be anything. But just know this before I close the video, before I'm done. Just know this. Everything with the narcissist, and I know I've said a few things a couple times the same way, throughout my videos, but I'm just trying to drive home a point that nothing is ever good enough. And you have to understand that narcissist, everything is temporary. It's just temporary, right? It's going to end one way or the other, right? So I just want you guys to understand. So thank you so much again for joining me here today on Narcissism 101 Cracking the Code. Like I said, if this video helped you out, like, subscribe, share it with somebody who you think could use the knowledge, somebody who's going through it right now and they probably need some advice and some help. Send them my way. Send them to paul.wisdom_03@hotmail.com. Send them to 647-406-3057. I'd be more than happy to give them some advice and some help for their situation. So thank you so much again for being here. Like I said, just remember that nothing will ever be good enough when you're dealing with a narcissist. And I hope this video helped you out. Hope to see you on the next video. Thank you so much.